First Vinegar Syndrome unboxing a long time. How should I open this video? Needs to be cool, needs to be thrilling. I should throw it? Should I throw it? What was I thinking? And then it'll look like I'm catching it out of the sky. It's movie magic. Oh, did I just break my nose? Let's try it out. Oh. Oh. Hey creeps, Cameron here. Welcome back to Library Macabre. Bit of a rough start with this one, Jesus. I don't feel so good. I'm in my new library right now. Welcome. I just recently moved and I've been getting set up. I would actually like to film all of my movie-themed videos in my new movie room, my retro den as I'm calling it, but it is not finished yet. There's still quite a lot to do. I still need to sort all of my movies. I still need to organize and put away toys and display stuff and put art on the walls. There's still a lot to do, so we're gonna work instead in the library for now. There is still some work to do in the library, but for the most part, pretty much done. And then when my retro den is finished and all set up, we can do a little tour of all of the movies and stuff. There's a lot, and I have even more movies in this box. So what we have here in this very heavy box is my first Vinegar Syndrome subscriber order of the year. So I've been subscribing to Vinegar Syndrome for 2 years. This will be my 3rd year. I told myself I wasn't going to resubscribe this year because the movies aren't quite the same as they once were. Vinegar Syndrome has definitely evolved as a company, and I think that's a good thing in a lot of ways. They've definitely leaned a little more mainstream as they've become more popular and more successful as a company. That's gonna happen, but at the same time, I do miss some of the deeper cuts that they used to put out, and they still do. You know, they still put out deep cuts. They still put out a cool slasher every once in a while. It's just not quite the same as it once was, but they do still surprise me with their titles, and I especially like the partner titles because they have a lot of the stuff that I tend to like. I like AGFA, I like Bleeding Skull, I like shot on video horror films, and that's definitely where the partner titles succeed. So after much back and forth, trying to decide if I was going to resubscribe to Vinegar Syndrome, here we are. I resubscribed. I did it, and we're going to unbox the very first package here. Now, this is not just an unboxing video. This is also going to be a little bit of a watching video and a review video. This is everything that is included in the January package, including a lot of extra stuff that I added on from the partners. Oh, look at that. I've been eager to open this package for weeks now, guys. The first 3 films that we have are all of the subscriber releases. So these are the ones that you get when you subscribe to Vinegar Syndrome. So first off, we have Terror Firmer. This is directed by Lloyd Kaufman, who is of course the founder and creator of Troma. It was my favorite studio ever. I love Lloyd Kaufman. He is quite the character. And after watching Romeo and Juliet recently, I've been even more curious to check out his later films because, you know, of course, I've seen the Toxic Avenger and some of his older movies, but when it comes to his movies from the 90s and the early 2000s, it's a total blind spot for me. So yeah, Terror Firmer, let's get into this. This is a deluxe box set, and featured inside the box are, of course, the movie. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you because this is not sponsored by Vinegar Syndrome whatsoever. I do not like this artwork. They keep using this kind of cartoony artwork for a lot of their releases. They did it for Troll 2. They did it for Romeo and Juliet. I don't care for it. It just looks very lazy to me. I don't know. I feel bad saying that because I hope the artist isn't watching. But anyway, there is the slipcover. Not a big fan of that at all. And then of course we do have the 4K release here, which you can flip around the artwork, which I'm going to do right now. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. No. So usually with Vinegar Syndrome, they'll give you the newly commissioned artwork, and then you can flip it around and display the original artwork, like the original theatrical poster or the original VHS art. But look at this. Oh, damn it. That hurts. That's a bit of a burn. And that was another reason why I've been considering not returning to Vinegar Syndrome, because I feel like they've cut corners in a lot of ways that I just am not a fan of. Hey guys, morning editing Cameron here. I wanted to pop on really quick because I can already read the minds of some of the viewers out there. All you care about is the artwork for these releases? What's the point of even buying them if all you care about is the art? Isn't there anybody here who respects cinema anymore? Can't we just talk about the movies? If that was the case, I wouldn't buy some fancy limited edition of a movie. I would just stream it. Yes, I want the movie. I want the movie in the best possible quality. That's a factor of buying a movie physically. Another factor of buying a movie physically, and it doesn't have to be for you, but it is for me, is also the presentation. That is the point of buying a movie from Vinegar Syndrome, and they have become known as the kind of company that goes all out on their releases and does the reversible art. These are things that we have learned to expect from them over many, many, many years. And the fact that there's no reversible artwork just tells me they cut a corner. Yes, I do care about the movies. Yes, I do care about the transfers. Yes, I do care about cinema. And I also care about the packaging. They're all factors. This is only for the people who I know are gonna leave a snarky comment. The rest of you, you get it. I know you get it. I'm just trying to use my telepathic powers here and read the minds of trolls before they can comment and ruin my day. All right. Back to the main video, bye. And then of course, it does come with a booklet, as you can see right here, which does use the same artwork, that cartoony artwork. I don't like it, but the booklets that they put out are really nice. I do enjoy reading through the books and seeing all of the different essays. In terms of the movie itself, I have never seen this before, but after watching the trailer, it does seem spiritually very, very much like Tromeo and Juliet, and that it is absolutely outrageous. Like this is total absurd humor, okay? This isn't really horror. It's horror in that there are monsters and there's blood and guts and gore, but it's more of a comedy. So Terror Firmer is about a fledgling film crew led by a lovable yet blind Larry Benjamin, who I believe is Lloyd Kaufman himself playing the character. He is hard at work making, or at least trying to make, the latest and most ridiculous movie, but problems with a difficult cast, an inexperienced and distracted crew, special effects that don't quite work, and more are soon upended when members of the production team begin to be murdered in increasingly strange and convoluted ways. That's all I need to know. Cool, Terror Firmer. Let's go give it a watch. Well, what a movie to start off with. I'm a little unsure how to even talk about this one. So, Terror Firmer, what a movie. Here's the thing. I said earlier that I felt like this was like very spiritually like Tromeo and Juliet. Instead, take Tromeo and Juliet and amp it up times 1,000. Tromeo and Juliet was already amped up as it was. This is even more so. So if you are one of those cult movie people who has seen a lot of crazy movies and you've already seen Tromeo and Juliet, but you haven't seen this yet, I guess I would make the decision to go into it if you enjoyed Tromeo and Juliet. I don't know if enjoyed is even the right word to use. I liked Tromeo and Juliet. I do recognize that it's a very, very kind of disgusting movie and very problematic in like all the ways humanly possible, but this is even more so. It's hard to describe Troma because they are kind of like a very liberal-minded film company, but they have always been the kind of film company to push the envelope and to try to make sure to offend as many people as humanly possible. It's just very, very transgressive filmmaking. So if that's not your thing, if you don't like being grossed out, and believe me, this is gross. There were times in this movie felt like I was going to throw up. Yes, there's like blood and guts and stuff, but there's also just vomit everywhere. So much vomit. Oh my God. I can't do vomit, guys. I was having a hard time. So if that's not your kind of thing, if you don't want that in your life, this movie is not for you. I'm so glad we had this talk. Now, did I enjoy it? I put on my Letterboxd that I did not know how to talk about this movie. I did not know how to review it. I didn't give it a star rating. I didn't even hit the like button on it. I had to think about it, and I've thought about it a lot. And I think by the end of the week, because it's been a week since I watched this. It's really stuck with me, and I've referenced it so many times this week. I have never, ever seen another movie like this. I've never seen a movie with this much energy before. And I've seen Romeo and Juliet. That has nothing on this when it comes to the energy. It's just bonkers, insane. And for that reason, I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know. I do not recommend this movie though. Please don't watch this. I mean it. Please don't watch it. I would never recommend this movie to anybody. I don't want someone to watch this and get mad at me. I'm just sharing with you my reaction to this crazy transgressive film. So my rating system for these videos is going to be based on the Vinegar Syndrome boot. This is the logo for Vinegar Syndrome. It depicts a silhouette of a woman who is wearing a boot that goes almost all the way up to her hip, and it slowly kind of fills up with yellow. Now, the term Vinegar Syndrome is used to describe the degradation of film. In this case, we are going to look at it as that woman's boot is filled up with vinegar. It's the vinegar boot. I don't know how else to describe it. So my rating system is going to be based on how much vinegar is in that boot. So let's fill the boot and see how full of vinegar the boot is for Terra Firma. So as you can see, the vinegar got everywhere. About half of that boot is filled up, which is a good rating, by the way, but not all of the vinegar quite landed. It made a big mess, and that is exactly what Terra Firma is. The boot is half full, and there's vinegar all over the floor, and all over the walls, and on the ceiling. How did it get there? I don't know, but that's what we're working with. Terra Firma. The boot is half full. Next up, we've got a triple feature here. This is Made in Hong Kong Volume 2. I actually do own Volume 1 of this, and I have not watched it yet, which is another reason why I was not going to resubscribe to Vinegar Syndrome, because I have so many movies from them now that I have not watched. I used to watch every single movie that I got of theirs in the mail, but after a while, when you're a subscriber, you just kind of get overloaded with movies. And if you work full time and you make videos and you're trying to be an author and you've got all of these other adult responsibilities, it becomes really hard to stay up on your movie watching. So yeah, that was another reason why I was not going to resubscribe, but here we are. And I have another set of Hong Kong movies that I am gonna have to try to make time to watch, even though I've not watched Volume 1. But we're gonna watch this in this video, and I'm gonna tell you what I think of these movies. Now, the thing is, I actually love movies from Hong Kong. Vinegar Syndrome put out a release last year called Corpse Mania, at least I think it was last year. God, love that movie. It was a really great Hong Kong giallo film that I just thought was amazing. I especially liked The Boxer's Omen, which I watched around Halloween last year. Just such a great movie. So I am eager to dig into this set. Unfortunately, I think a lot of these are actually action movies and not so much horror. Let's dig into it before I say much more. So here is the just standard Blu-ray box right here. It comes with 3 movies. There's New York Chinatown, Best of the Best, and Final Justice, which, yes, those all sound like action movies to me. Don't get me wrong. I love a good action movie. I love martial arts, but horror is my thing, and that's what I really want. So I was hoping for some more horror films. Alas, I think these are just action movies. And we also do get a nice booklet here going over the making of all the films. So let's give these movies a watch and see what we can get ourselves into. This is a very, very mixed bag. I was admittedly not very excited to watch this. I do enjoy action films sometimes, but they're not really my cup of tea. When I do sit down to watch an action film, I like something like LA Wars, something that's very, very cheesy and over the top and is not meant to be taken seriously whatsoever. So I have to say, when New York Chinatown started, it's just not the kind of action movie that I am into. There wasn't enough action for me in this movie at all. I thought at first that maybe it was going to be so bad it was entertaining, because it is a Hong Kong film that is made in New York City. And what's so weird about it is that Everybody is dubbed, of course, because it is a Hong Kong movie. So even the actors who are speaking in English are dubbed by Chinese actors. All of the Chinese actors are also dubbed. But not only that, but this film is also in both Chinese and English. And a lot of the times when English actors are clearly speaking in English, they are dubbed over in Chinese. And then other times when Chinese actors are clearly speaking in Chinese, they are dubbed over in English. And there's even a court scene in this movie where you can clearly hear the actors speaking in English, like they forgot to mute the track when they were making the movie, but they're dubbed over in Chinese, and the things that the English actors are saying don't match up to the Chinese subtitles. Also, the film transfer varies a lot as well. You've got some scenes that look great. It's great 35mm film. And then you have scenes that looked like they were from a very, very standard definition file from someone's computer from the early 2000s, where you can like see all of the pixels. Vinegar Syndrome did put a disclaimer at the beginning of the movie saying this, that the film was kind of composed and compiled from a bunch of different sources. So I'm glad that they said that, but right from the get-go, I was like, oh gosh, here we go. It's going to be a terrible transfer. It is, but you know, Vinegar Syndrome did do everything they could to make it a watchable film. So between whatever happened with the source of this movie and whatever happened in the dubbing process, it is just a patchwork quilt of a movie that never really makes sense. Vinegar Syndrome did what they could with it, but at the end of the day, it's just not really the kind of movie that I am into. It's not the kind of movie that's made for me. There's definitely an audience for it because I looked on Letterboxd and there are people who really enjoyed the film. But in terms of the style and the kind of lack of action, you don't really get a lot of action in the film until the later half. And by then I'd already checked out. It's just not my kind of action film. I would have much rather have preferred to watch a horror film from Hong Kong. Now, getting into the next movie, Best of the Best. This, from the get-go, was already a much, much, much better film. What you have here is a man on the police force, and he is taking his kids out to go to a movie. There's a man who ends up harassing him. He ends up fighting against this guy, and then something really tragic happens concerning one of this police officer's sons. I'm not gonna say what, because it shocked me. I audibly gasped at this scene, and it really set the tone for the rest of the movie because this isolated tragedy affects the relationships of all of the characters moving forward. Now you're jumping forward like maybe 15 or 20 years into the future. That man's son who lived is now a police officer, and the original cop himself is kind of washed up. He's no longer a cop. He owns this very seedy club, and the son is very, very disappointed in his father, not just for what happened all those years ago to his brother, but also the fact that his dad is just no good and washed up. Now we're following the surviving son who ends up falling in love with a girl whose dad is a crime boss who is brothers with the cop's dad. So the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, how are these people related? Because he is calling him uncle. That man is his dad's brother, but he's dating his dad's brother's daughter, which would mean he's dating his cousin? That can't be right. I'm still not totally sure because I'm having a hard time believing that that's what it was, but I think that's what it was. Anyway, all of that weirdness aside, I loved this movie. Best of the Best is by far the best movie in the set. I won't say it's the best of the best because the other movies were not the best at all. I loved the movie for its energy and its style. It was filmed in the early 90s, and it's got this kind of neon-soaked aesthetic that's both very brutal at times, but also very romantic. And at the end, very, very tragic. I was not expecting the movie to go where it went, and I loved it. I'm gonna fill that vinegar boot up to the knee on this one, but does the movie save the set overall in terms of, am I going to keep this set or am I going to just get rid of it? Well, Final Justice is the final movie in the set and is what will decide whether or not I keep this set for my collection. Final Justice is not an action movie. It's a courtroom drama. It's a bit of a thriller, maybe. What you have here is a priest who was seduced by this young woman. The priest feels really bad about it, so when she comes back to hook up again, he turns her away. And for that, she ends up telling the police that he assaulted her. I think this film has a lot to say about religion, about Chinese culture. It has a lot to say about what consent is for a movie that takes place in the 90s. Because while this woman accused this priest of assaulting her, she forced herself on him when he was telling her no. It's a very complicated movie. It's a very well-acted film, but it is not what I signed up for. And for that, I do not think I'm going to be keeping this set for my collection. I will probably resell it. Final Justice, I feel like I should give it 2 separate ratings. It's up to the knee in the Vinegar boot, just in terms of its message and the fact that it is a very well-made movie. But when it comes to Vinegar Syndrome, I would say it's like up to the ankle. It's not what I expect from Vinegar Syndrome, and is not what I was hoping for when the set was released. And lastly, we have our final subscriber title before we get into all of our partner labels and some of our sub-labels of Vinegar Syndrome. This is Phantom of the Opera, directed by Dario Argento. This was another reason why I ended up deciding to resubscribe, was because Vinegar Syndrome is starting to put out all of Dario Argento's later films, and that is a huge blind spot for me. I love Dario's earlier films. They are some of my very, very favorites, but when it comes to his movies from the 90s and into the 2000s, I've never seen them, and this is definitely one of those. Phantom of the Opera, I've heard is not a great movie, but at the same time, I'm just eager to watch it. It does have Julian Sands, who I think is a great actor, you know, R.I.P. And I also absolutely love Dario Argento's opera, which of course has nothing to do with Phantom of the Opera, not really, but it does make sense for him to direct an adaptation of Phantom of the Opera. So I'm eager to give this a watch, even though I've heard people say it's not his best. I've actually heard some people say that it's terrible. See, this is what I'm saying. We've got that newly commissioned artwork, and then on the back, where we really should have some original artwork, it's just the artwork from the back of the case. I hate that. Guys, Vinegar Syndrome, what are you doing? Please. But anyway, this is a 4K release, so I'm sure it's gonna look beautiful. All of Dario Argento's movies look great in 4K, so let's go give it a watch and see what we think. Dario Argento's Phantom of the Opera. Oh boy. Oh man. I had a lot of high hopes for the movie, even though I'd already heard people say that this was terrible. But I still went in with an open mind, because it is Dario Argento, even when his films are not quite up to snuff in terms of what they contain. The cinematography is always still beautiful. The scores are always beautiful. He is still a director with a great eye for detail. Phantom of the Opera, on the other hand, came very late in his career, and it features some of the worst cinematography I've seen in a Dario Argento film. Basically, it looks like no effort was put into the lighting of this whatsoever, which is weird for Argento, because Argento pays a lot of attention to his lighting. In this case, it looks a lot like a stage production, which maybe that was intentional, because they are putting on an opera, and the film itself is lit as though it's a stage play. Everything is very, very brightly lit. There are even a few really weird dream sequences in this, where the background, where it is very clearly CGI, is kind of made to look like one of those, you know, painted backgrounds in a stage production. But at the same time, that very bright lighting just doesn't lend very much atmosphere, as you see in Argento's other films. Everything just looks kind of bright and washed out. There's also very little attention paid to the period piece aesthetic, because this is a period piece. It takes place in the 1800s, but everything you see is so not 1800s. There are little girl ballerinas in this who are wearing leg warmers. Leg warmers did not come about until the 1980s. These are very 90s looking leg warmers, actually. So the atmosphere It's suffering in this movie. I do want to talk a little bit about the casting. Julian Sands, of course, is a great actor, and I think he's pretty decent in this movie overall. I think really everybody does their best. Asia Argento, she is very good in the movie overall. I mean, there's nothing really much to work with here. I think what really turns me off of Julian Sands as the Phantom is more about the production, because there's no mask. There are no burns on his face. He's not disfigured like he is in the original Phantom of the Opera. There's really no reason for him to be hiding in the sewers underneath an opera house. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, you see that he was abandoned as a baby and he was left in the sewer, and the little baby basket, was bobbing along in the sewer, and these rats come out and you think they're gonna eat the baby. Instead, they drag the baby to safety and they raise the baby as one of their own. Really? Raised by rats? From a baby? It's so silly. And I like silly and I like bad movies, and when that first happened, I was like, oh my gosh, this is hilarious. I'm loving this already. But then the movie starts to get a bit dry and boring from there, and I just could not look past the fact that there was none of that signature Argento atmosphere. The music really wasn't that great. The story wasn't very exciting. There was no mystery like you have with a lot of Argento films. Am I glad to own this? Yes, just for my Dario Argento collection, because I do want to own all of his movies. But am I ever going to watch this ever again? Probably not. It's really just going to be in my collection for the sake of completion, for the sake of having all of Argento's movies. And that's really about it. So let's fill the boot. And by fill the boot, I mean, it's a sprinkle of vinegar. It's just touching those toes. There's not much vinegar in that boot. This is not really getting a recommendation from me unless you really want to see all of Argento's films. Now you may be thinking that's it, but there are actually more movies in this box because we do have Vinegar Syndrome's sub-labels and their partner labels. Let's start with the sub-labels because these are actually released by Vinegar Syndrome. They're just different kinds of movies that they designate to other labels. So for instance, we have a brand new label here. This is called Iconoscope, and this is their new label that is designated to TV movies and TV shows. I think it's a great thing that they're getting into releasing not just TV movies, which they have dipped their toes into TV movies in the past, but TV shows. I was blown away that they were releasing The Veil. The Veil is an anthology series from, I believe, the late 50s, maybe even the early 60s, hosted by Boris Karloff. This is a TV show very much like The Outer Limits or The Twilight Zone, but instead of having, Rod Serling be the host, you've got Boris Karloff as the host. Now, one thing I have heard about these releases is that they are really, really hard to get out of the packaging. We're going to give it a shot here. And hopefully I don't have the same problem that a lot of people have been having. Some people have said that the inner cases are kind of glued in and they can't get them out. Others have not had any trouble. So let's give it a shot. Oh, okay. It's coming out. You do have to give it some muscle. Not the best design, but I did get it out, so I am luckier than most. I don't know why they did it like this. It's such a weird choice. Anyway, The Veil, hosted by Boris Karloff. This is a 3-disc set, and it is a partner release with Something Weird. I love Something Weird. They do amazing work. It even predates One Step Beyond. So One Step Beyond is another horror anthology show from the 50s that I really like. It actually predates The Twilight Zone, and it turns out The Veil predates One Step Beyond. So this might actually be the original horror anthology series of that formula. The episodes have been scanned in 4K from rare archival film elements, featuring an array of new and archival extras, including some recently undiscovered bonuses. This sounds like a really cool release to me. It also comes with a booklet going over the show, which I think is very useful, especially for a TV show, because then you get information about each and every episode. Heck yeah. The Veil. I am so excited to watch these. I'm not going to try to binge this show on top of all of these movies, but I am going to watch a few episodes just to see what the quality is like, and I will report back. The Veil, hosted by Boris Karloff. This is a lot like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, except you have more like supernatural themes. All of the stories that are featured in the show are supposedly true accounts of paranormal phenomena. Each episode opens with Boris Karloff sitting by this roaring fire, and he addresses the camera and lets you know what you're getting yourself into with tonight's story. But what's different about this and sets it apart from shows like The Twilight Zone is that Boris Karloff is an actor, first and foremost, and he does not just host the show, he is also a character in all of the episodes. He always plays a different character. Sometimes he plays a detective, sometimes he plays a villain, but he is always a character in the show itself, aside from just being the host. I only watched the first 3 episodes of the show because I didn't want to spend too much time on this and risk getting this video out any later than it already is. But I did like the first 3 episodes that I watched. The pilot especially was very strong. It's about a man who witnesses a woman's murder, or so he thinks, but when he calls the police and they go to the apartment where the woman was murdered, the apartment is empty. No one lives there. And a week later, that same woman moves into the apartment and is murdered the same way that man predicted. The other 2 episodes were fine. They were very just kind of generic horror anthology stories. I live for this kind of stuff. It's really a matter of taste, personally. Like, if you like The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits, check this out. You will like it. It's a hidden gem. Just based on the first 3 episodes alone, I would only fill the boot up to like the ankle. There's really not a lot of substance here, but it's something good to put on in the background on like a Sunday morning when you're drinking your coffee. It's that kind of show. It's comforting. It's just very old school American television, and I do like it. The other Iconoscope release is Don't Be Afraid of the Dark, which is such a wonderful, wonderful announcement for them. I have seen this movie, and I love this movie. It's so good. It's a 1970s film. It's from 1973. Hopefully I can get this out. All right. So far, so good. I'm still not a huge fan of the packaging. I think it's a little silly, honestly, but it's better than what most people have been experiencing with this. So yeah, let me see if it's got the original artwork. Hopefully it does. Yes, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. So this was artwork, I believe, for maybe like the newspaper ads or the TV guide ads. This is the artwork they would have used to promote the TV movie. So yeah, great atmospheric film. Love the house in this movie. I love the little creatures. I do own this on Blu-ray, and it was a pretty good release, but I'm way more excited to watch it on 4K. This is going to be great. So let's pop this in and see what the quality is like. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Like I said, this is already a movie that I have seen before. This is probably my 3rd time watching it. I already owned the Blu-ray edition of this, put out by Warner Archive. It was a great Blu-ray. This is even better, of course, because it is 4K quality. It's beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous in 4K. The big disappointment of this release is not just the packaging, because we already went over that I was able to open this, but when I went to go open it to actually watch the movie, I could not get it out. And now it is coming out. I don't know what happened before. I don't know if there was some kind of chemical reaction with the air that made this expand inside the box or something, but I could not get it out. It took me forever. I had to have help. Finally, we got it out, but it was tough to open. So I don't know what happened, but that is a bit of a disappointment. Also, there's really not a lot in terms of special features on this disc. I was hoping for maybe a documentary or some interviews or something, and there's just really not a lot to see. Really, the main reason to get this is for that upgraded film transfer. I loved getting to watch this in 4K because the film is so atmospheric. You get to see that atmosphere uncompressed in 4K, and it just looks beautiful. So we have a man and his wife, who is played by not Linda Blair. I always used to think this was Linda Blair. It's not. They move into this spooky new house, and she tells her husband at the beginning of the movie that she thinks they have rats. It's actually these creepy little demonic fairy guys, but she at first thinks, oh, that must have been a rat. And he tells her she's crazy. How could they have rats in this old crumbling house? Okay. Her husband is a complete bitch throughout the whole movie. He is so rude. Anyway, not Linda Blair can really fend for herself. She's actually very sassy, especially to the groundskeeper. I feel like she's taking out some of her frustration and rage about her husband against this poor old groundskeeper. Basically, in the lower level of the house, there is this chimney that's closed, and she wants the groundskeeper to open it, and he tells her, no, ma'am, we cannot open it. You don't want to know what's in there. And she's like, no, open it, seriously. He refuses, but that's not gonna stop her. She immediately bangs it open and accidentally unleashes these little creatures. And every single time these creatures appear on screen, they are accompanied by this green light, this bright green light. So whenever this green light appears, you know these creatures are close. You can also always hear them whispering to each other, whispering about hurting her, killing her, kill, kill. I love it. I love that. I love that whispering so much. It's so creepy. So there's a little bit more of the plot for you, but mostly you just got this beautiful cinematography with this gothic looking house with this velvet wallpaper everywhere. Everything is either a dark red color or just brown. It's super 70s. There are also just like curtains hanging in the middle of rooms, sectioning off other areas of the rooms. Anyway, don't be afraid of the dark. This movie is up to the thigh. I won't say it's clear up to the hip, but it is like mid-thigh. It's a good movie. And the 4K release itself is worth it. If you don't already have the Blu-ray, I would say if you have the Blu-ray, it's up to you. I could take it or leave it. I think the Blu-ray really was pretty good. So I don't know if I really needed to upgrade, but it is a favorite movie of mine, so I'm glad to have it. Welcome back to the unboxing table. We have our next Vinegar Syndrome release here. This is a Vinegar Syndrome Labs release, which is one of my favorite labels of them. I think it's probably the most underrated of all. Vinegar Syndrome Labs is a little more dedicated to old monster movies. I love cheesy old B monster movies, especially ones like this, the Snow Creature, which I have never seen, but I've been wanting to for a very long time. This is a film from 1954. Let's see if it's got, oh yeah, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. We've got that original artwork. It's a Paramount film from 1954 about a snow creature. What more do you need to know? The Snow Creature. Like I said, this was not part of my Vinegar Syndrome subscriber package. This was an add-on from Vinegar Syndrome Labs, so I did have to spend a little extra money on this one. Fortunately, I did get the 50% off, but was it worth spending the extra money? At first, I thought yes, because this is my style of movie. I love atomic era monster movies. I love B creature films from the 50s. This is made for me. I was also intrigued by the fact that this is the first Yeti movie, at least as far as people know. I thought that was interesting, but this was very, very dull. The first 75% of the film takes place in Antarctica. It's definitely not Antarctica, but that's what they're trying to get you to believe. And you have these explorers who end up coming across the Snow Creature, the Yeti, and they trap it and they bring it to, I think it was New York, I'm pretty sure. So basically this is King Kong, but with a Yeti. A snow monster escapes, it starts wreaking havoc, and this is where the film gets a little more entertaining, but it's for all of like 15 minutes. But the end of the movie does offer some very fun schlock. You also get a really good look at the monster at one point, and he's just a man in a teddy bear costume. It made me smile, and for that I enjoyed the movie just a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it just was not really up to snuff. It was a very, very padded, boring film, and I will not be watching it again. Therefore, it probably will not stay in my collection, and the boot rating is merely a foot. Alas, we have our final movie in the box. This is Ghostkeeper, a film that I have been dying to see for many, many moons. And this, I think this might be my most anticipated movie of the entire box. This is my style. This is a 1981 horror film that I've heard great things about, and it's one that I've felt like I should have seen by now, and I just haven't. This is released by Canadian International Pictures. It's actually the only partner label that I have in this box, which is weird to me. I thought I bought more, but I may be getting that confused with February, where I'm pretty sure I bought quite a few. Now, for those who don't know, when you're a subscriber to Vinegar Syndrome, you get 50% off all of their other releases. So the partnered titles like these, you get 50% off. So it's a pretty good deal. Here's the original artwork. This is a 4K restoration from the only known complete 35mm print. I'm super excited to watch this. So let's dig in and see what we think of Ghostkeeper. So this is a New Year's movie. It's about a bunch of young people who go to this ski resort. This lends a whole lot of very sumptuous mountain photography that I thought was really, really beautiful. In fact, the whole film is very beautifully shot. It is oozing with atmosphere in every frame. You truly feel that snowy winter isolation. Anyway, in the first 10 minutes of the movie, you already know who the characters are. They're all just very classic slasher cliches at first. The lead, Jenny, is very soft-spoken and mature and sensible. And then you have her boyfriend who you can tell he just thinks that she's crazy, which is typical for the boyfriends of final girls. They always think the final girl is crazy until they realize she's not and that she is right. But what doesn't help matters in this case is that Jenny's mother was put away for being sick in the head, I think is what they say in the movie. And one of Jenny's big fears is that she's going to end up like her mother, and this is something that her boyfriend uses against her all the time. Anyway, the three friends stow away in this kind of abandoned ski resort, and it turns out it's not quite so abandoned after all. There is this old woman that lives alone inside of the lodge. She's very, very creepy. I had never seen this woman in anything else before, or so I thought. I looked her up because she was such a great actress, and I wanted to see what else she had been in, and it turns out she was in How the West Was Fun, starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. I saw that movie as a kid. I don't remember this woman from that, but just a fun tip. That actress's name is Georgie Collins, by the way, if you want to look her up. She is so good in this film, and she is scary. Turns out this old woman has a son who is living somewhere inside of this lodge, and you start to realize that there's definitely some murderous intent here amongst this family. The film also opens up with this line about the Wendigo, which made me really excited because I'm very fascinated with Wendigo lore. Initially, when I watched the movie, I thought it was a little too slow and a little too dry. I didn't understand how the Wendigo was really playing a part in the movie. I mean, it's there, but that's the thing. It's just kind of there. I understand from watching the special features that the director wanted to make the Wendigo this monster, and he didn't really have the budget for that. So it ended up being just a guy with a bunch of stuff on his face. Not really a Wendigo. Sorry. I didn't really like the movie initially, but now that I look back on it, I'm just thinking of the atmosphere. That's really what stood out to me. It's really well shot. It has great sound design. The performances are pretty good. The boot, we'll fill that boot up to the shin. How about that? It feels a little generous maybe, but at the same time, it does feel like a solid shin movie. So there you have it, creeps. That is my Vinegar Syndrome unboxing for my January 2026 subscriber package. And yes, I already have my subscriber package for February. I haven't even broken into it yet. I'm going to be doing that on camera very soon. And at this point, my March subscriber package will be on the way in the next couple of weeks. So I'll have to get into that very soon as well. There's a lot of movies to catch up on. Thank you all so much for watching this. I know this is a little bit different than what I usually do on my channel, but if you enjoyed it, please, please, please let me know your thoughts down below. I really want your guys' feedback on things that I could maybe do a little bit differently, or if this is even the kind of video that you want to see from me every month. This is still a book channel first and foremost, but I do want to start talking about movies a little bit more, and this might be a good opportunity to do that. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you very soon in another episode of Library Macabre. Later, creeps.